Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you Thursday, June the 17th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. DSR trading, part 4 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal. Yesterday I was showing the boys and girls and non-binary traders the basics of the DSR, dynamic support resistance trade. So I thought maybe you can share your views on it. First,
Sure.
are you going to use a 1 or 5 minute chart? So
I'll use a 5 minute chart because
okay,
that's what I have up. And
okay,
we have a trade setting up right now. In fact, if you go and look at the chart right now, what you see is a nice 5 minute down candle after a nice little run up. And what I would do is I would enter right here. We talk about a weight candle, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I would actually probably enter right where we're at right now and just see what it does. It may go with me, may go against me. But that's part of trading. But what we see is that we have a 2 ball on the top where you just ran from the bottom off a 3 ball. And so generally speaking, you get that 2 ball on top, you're going to come and drop down, probably to, usually I see it coming down to about at least halfway down between that range. So my range on that is about 35 pips. So I would expect to go and pull off maybe, let's see, let me go and see where it would be coming off of the top of that. So that's about 8 pips. So I would expect another 5 pips, 4 or 5 pips coming off of this, off the break of that bottom of that candle. And if we would have taken that trade, at least on my chart, we'd be up like about a pip and a half, which would have been nice. Depending on what it does here, I may just exit the trade with a pip or not. I would probably stick with it and see what it does, because I have pretty good confidence it's probably going to get down to 40. What is that level? I'm trying to read my chart. About 43.8. That's where I'm expecting it to go to. Whether it gets there or not, I don't know. But that's generally what I would do. Now, the reason why I don't wait for a weight candle off that 2 ball is because that candle was a bearish candle. I know theoretically we really should wait for a weight candle, let that candle close, then wait for the next candle. But I do not wait for that. For me, that's just too much waiting, and sometimes you lose your entire possibility of a trade. So I would just go and take it, but I would be a little bit more cautious with it, just knowing that, hey, this is could turn around on me. So at this point we could have made 2 pips on it. Now we'd be back, to about break even. But I'd still probably stick in this trade, and see what it does. The nice thing about these trades is that our stop losses are pretty close. So we're not risking that much. Usually you can easily get a 1-to-1 risk reward, and we're day trading here. So with day trading, you're not looking to get a 1-to-4 or a 1-to-5 or some crazy number like that. Getting 1-to-1 is actually a pretty good trade for a day trade, where you're just trying to get in, bang some pips out, and get out. So
where would you place your stop?
My stop I would have put probably right above the 50, so probably around 51.5, something like that.
Okay.
Is where I would have put it. Just because, it just makes sense to be there, so I'd have a nice, that my stop loss, that would have been about 2 pips, 2.5 pips, which would have been nice. The other thing, if you want to go into a little bit more of an advanced method here, is we had the close of that 5-minute candle just happened, and we just opened up. Notice that candle, that previous candle that just closed, it was a very nice, bearish candle. It wasn't very big, but it was a bearish candle. I probably would have stacked on at that point. So on my first trade, would have been nice is that right now I'd be up about 6 pips on it. The second trade, I'd be up right now about 4 pips, maybe 5 pips, depending on how your brokers take things from you. So right now you'd be up somewhere between 9 and 11 pips. Not bad little trade. And what we've been on this video here for 5 minutes or so.
Right.
And nice little trade to pick that up. And the nice thing about this is that it works so often. Does it go against you sometimes? Sure, it does. Absolutely. Nothing's excuse me. nothing's perfect, but that's part of trading. But here's a situation where you risk 3 pips, and you could have picked up 10 or 11 pips. That's a 3-to-1. That's not bad. Or 1-to-3. Say it correctly. So that's how I generally trade it. Now, if that candle that has the 2 ball on the top there, if that had been a white candle, I absolutely would not have entered this trade. Would not do it, because that's a situation where the market would still be looking like it's going up. Sure, it didn't. Let's say it closed at basically at the high of the previous candle, a little bit above the high. Sorry, just not going to do it. That tells me the market hasn't made the decision to come back the other way yet. And notice where it is right now. It just got to where I said that it probably would run to. Like I said, nice trade at this point in time. So my first trade we would have been up 8 pips. My second trade, I would have been up 7 pips. So now we're up 15 pips. I know, TRO, you don't like to go and add the 2 of them together, but I like to add them together because I usually, generally speaking, risk the same amount of lots. So, and I look this as one trade as opposed to 2 trades. I know you like to look at it as 2 trades.
Right.
And that's just a difference of style and preference and whatever, because I look at it from the perspective, I got a certain number of pips I need to make for the day. So I just add them up that way so I know where I'm at for the day.
Yeah, you would have made your goal on that trade.
Yep, I would have. A goal and a half, And now look at we just put in a 1 ball here. Okay, so now I'm starting to say, okay, if this thing doesn't continue to move down, it's time to go and bail on the trade, because when those 1 balls show up, it's amazing how quickly sometimes it'll just turn and shoot right back against you again. So it's starting to pull off of that 1 ball a little bit. And, it's come back down. It's meandering a little bit. You know what? I'd probably say at this point, I got 15 pips on the table here. I'm not going to take a chance. Let's just go take them. And, yeah, sure, the next stop on this, my guess would be, since we passed that midpoint level, is probably 32.5. But right now, I don't know if it's going to go to 32.5 or not. Why not just go and take what I can take?
Exactly.
So that's generally how I go and play it. The only other thing I would say is that right now, we've got a pattern on the screen. We've got what I call a 3-2-1. We've got a 3 ball on the bottom, got a 2 ball on the top, we've got a 1 ball as the next low over there. That's an excellent position to go and look at in terms of going long. So I would wait for a wait candle here, because the 1 ball is on a black candle. So I'd wait for this current 5-minute candle to close, and if it closes in a white candle, I would just immediately jump in long. As long as it doesn't, if this runs all the way up, and breaks the pattern, let's say it gets all the way up to really close to a 2 ball on top, trades off. Right. But if it stays like in this area right here over the next 4.5 minutes, I just jump in and take the trade. And it's just amazing to me how often that is a profitable trade on it. And that's a DSL trade. It's just that what we're doing is we're going and using this, as a, we're just using that pattern as just more confirmation that this is what the market likes to do. Because what we see in the market is the market moves in a direction, moves against it to retrace it, then comes back and then makes another run to that direction. So in this case, it went, put that 3 ball on the bottom, it ran up, okay, then it's run down, and now, looks like it wants to go and break that. My guess is it wants to go and break that 2 ball on the top. In other words, get to the 60 level. So, we got to wait it out. And that's the thing, and I know traders say this all the time, or profitable traders say this all the time anyway, and that is that 99.9% of your time is waiting. And that's what I find most of my time. Most of my time, I'm not in trades. Most of my time, I'm sitting there waiting for that pattern to show up, waiting for the market to show me something that I know, tends to work more often than not. And that's what you got to do here. You just got to go and wait, and just wait for it to happen. And, if it happens, great. You can make some money. If it doesn't happen, well, it'll come eventually. You just may have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, we're in the 40 launch pad right now.
Yeah, I know you love to play that 40 launch pad, and you're right about that. So often, You know, if you get a 5-minute candle, you know, that's a bullish candle, and you're in that 40 launch pad, so often it'll run to the 60. You know, what I also find is that if you're in that 40 launch pad, you know, a lot of times if you got a bearish candle, it'll run down to the 20. You know, it's just what it tends to do. Now, you could say that about just about every, you know, every station, like I like to call it, but it just seems that it's so stinking, you know, predictable. I mean, if you go back to the last hour on the 5-minute candles, you can go and see that, hey, we're in that 40, you know, area, and we had a bearish, you know, 5-minute candle, and bam, it went right down to that 20 level and turned. If you notice that turnaround point was right at that 20, and you know, it's just what it likes to do.
That's for sure. That's definitely for sure. So, you know, I don't think I saw any questions about the DSR trade. Is there anything else you can tell the traders out there? Any little tip or trick or caution that they should be on the lookout for?
I would say the most important thing is the waiting. It is by far, and I've said it already on this video, but the most important thing is waiting. Don't jump into a trade. Wait for the trade. Wait for it. Wait for it to happen. And then when it happens, then you go and take it, you know, and then be willing to go take your small loss or take your win. Just go and wait for it. That's the most important thing. The other thing that's really interesting, doesn't happen that often, but it happens, when I say it doesn't happen that often, it happens at least once a day. A lot of times, you know, I like to take DSR trades in the second half of the hour, but every once in a while, you'll get a DSR trade that sets up right at the beginning of the hour, right at a Walmal line, okay? And when that happens, you know, it's usually off to the races. You know, in fact, if you look the last hour, we had a DSR trade set up about on the third M5 candle come in, okay, and what it did was, it came in, and it was the type of thing where at 60 line there. Now, technically on that hour, my short should have been way down at 40, but because it went up and it busted through the 60 and it just didn't pan out, I take a DSR trade up there, and I consider that 60 line to be my new Walmart line for a short. And if you would have done that, you could have picked up 8-9 pips. Would have been very nice trade to go and pick up. How many? Let me go and measure. You would have picked up 7 pips. Been very, very nice. And then if you waited about halfway through that hour, that DSR trade really set up again. Now, that 2-ball didn't move over to that next high over there, but it was within a couple of points. So I would consider that to be the same level. And you just wait for the wait candle, and then what you would have won in on that, you would have gotten some drawdown of 3.5 pips. But then when it crossed over that 50 line again, bam, you could have picked up 30 pips on that if you had the stomach to stay in the whole way. Right. So it can be really, really profitable when it lines up with those Walmart lines.
So speaking of Walmart lines, we're at the top of the hour right here. So we're 40 and 50.
Yeah, and right now, I'm not quite sure what I would do here, just because I wouldn't really be, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be looking for a Walmart trade that much here. I'd be probably looking more for a DSR trade here, because I got that 3-1-1 pattern. And, in fact, I'd probably jump in right here long, and we'll see what it does. Yeah, it went all the way up. It ran up on that previous candle. It got rejected about 4 pips above it, but I'd be looking to go into this trade and maybe make a couple pips and see what it does. And my stop loss on this would have been somewhere around 39.5. I probably would have been stopped out on this trade, but that's just part of trading, That's just the way it is sometimes, But at the same time, on the same call, would have picked up 15 pips, would have taken a loss of 3 pips on this one. I think I guess I'm willing to go and do that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is over. So, boys and girls and non-binary traders, I hope you learned something on that DSR trade. And just remember, when you sit down at your trading platform, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is TheRumpledOne. over and out.